Hello and welcome to Good Deeds. It is brought to you by justserve.org. If you are looking for ways to make a difference in our community and basically make Sacramento a better place to live for all of us, well, justserve.org can connect you with organizations that are making a difference every single day. And it's a wonderful place to start. Today, we are talking with Alanka Zlatar. She is with 350 Sacramento, and they're doing very important work for our environment, not just here in Sacramento, but beyond. And we'll get to that and how you can help in just a moment. But thank you for being on with us today. And thank you for the work that you're doing in our community.
Thanks, Sheryl. I really appreciate the opportunity to share what we do with our community.
It's been, in the last couple of years, we're really seeing the effects of climate change and why climate change is a big deal. It affects us all. And a lot of times people can feel helpless, like, well, what can I really do about it? But that's why your organization is here, because every day you are doing something about it with the help of local volunteers. Could you tell us about what 350 Sacramento does?
Totally. Yeah. So as you said, California is really ground zero for feeling the impacts of climate change in our country. So from wildfire smoke to the heat waves, the droughts, the floods, it's all related to how much fossil fuels we're burning and how much of that climate pollution is going up into our atmosphere. And well, the good news about dealing with such a global problem is that pretty much anywhere you are, you have an opportunity to make a difference. So here in Sacramento, 350 Sacramento is started about 12 years ago, just a group of concerned friends and neighbors that wanted to do something about climate change and didn't really know what to do at first, right? So we started doing some education and just teaching each other how we could reduce our own carbon footprint. But we pretty quickly realized that we could do everything we wanted in our own lives, and it really wasn't going to make a big difference. So what we realized is that what we really need to do is organize our community to move the big decision makers in our community to make the transition to a clean, green economy faster and more fair and just for everyone. So the way in which we work is we've been, for the vast majority of our life as an organization, all volunteer organization. Now we have a couple of staff, so they help to guide volunteers and support them, but the work is still volunteer-led in our organization. So there's plenty of roles for people to take on. Some of the ways that we work is we've worked closely with SMUD, our local electric utility, to get them on a plan to have no carbon emissions by 2030, which is only a few years away. And it's actually one of the most aggressive carbon reduction plans of any large-scale utility in the country. And they would have continued to drag their feet were it not for people like you and I showing up at their board meetings and demanding action. We also got the city of Sacramento to pass a electrification ordinance, meaning that new buildings are not going to have any natural gas or fossil fuel gas infrastructure in the buildings themselves. That's just a small step to ensure that the future buildings that we're building are not continuing to rely on fossil fuel infrastructure. So there's steps like that. And I think people don't realize how much power they really have as an individual in our community, because there's really not that many people who show up to share the things that they're passionate about and their concerns with our elected officials and decision makers in our community. So your individual voice really does make a difference.
Yeah. Well, and every little bit does count because it all adds up. And, California is a very big state, and we have started many trends across the country and across the world. So why not use that power for good is, my philosophy. And that's exactly what you're doing. You have an event that's coming up this weekend. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, California is really critical. There's a saying, as California goes, so does the country, so does the world. So especially here in Sacramento, we're the capital. We're right next to all the decision makers. We have all of the state agencies that are making rules and regulations about this stuff right here. A lot of the people who work at those agencies are our neighbors and friends. We have the legislature here. We have the governor here. So we really have the closest access to so many of these folks. And this Saturday, May 13th, at the Colonial Theater, we are gathering to talk about how we can collectively, as Californians, stop producing fossil fuels in our state. Most people don't realize that California is actually the 6th largest oil producing state in the country. We actually produce the dirtiest oil in all of the United States, and we produce a lot of it, and we produce it right in people's backyards. We are one of the very few places in the entire world that doesn't have a health and safety buffer zone between oil and gas wells and people's communities, their homes, schools, hospitals. So we were able to pass a law. Big oil came back really hard and basically reverted it. So we need to educate our community, and that's exactly what our event on Saturday is for, is to educate ourselves and to learn how we can take steps together to make sure that we're phasing out the technologies of the past and embracing the technologies of the future that we need to live in a sustainable planet.
And people can find out more about this event on your website. And we'll put it up here on the screen.
350sacramento.org.
Yeah. So, getting back to volunteering, and there's a role for everyone. There is a part everyone can play in this, no matter your skill level, your experience. There's something that everyone can do. And in your organization, what kind of volunteer projects could someone that, they don't know where to start, they don't know what to do, but they've got time and they're willing. What are some of the roles that you need filled?
Yeah, we have several different programs. So one of them is our student environmental activist training program. So we have one for students and one for adults. So if you just wanted to skill up and learn how to be a community organizer, what are the tools of the trade to organize your own community for whatever means that or whatever issue you're interested in, you can join our training series. We're doing about once or twice a month online Zoom classes of how to become an activist, basically. So that's one way to get involved, and you can take that skill set with you anywhere. We also have our air filters project, where we are helping especially our lower income neighbors to adapt to the changing climate by building their own air filters at home. So we build the filters with box fans and filters, and we distribute them to different events and people around our community. So that's one way to get involved. And then also, the bread and butter of our organization is showing up to the places that decisions are made and bringing your voice and your concerns and your story. You don't have to be an expert at anything. We give you all the tools of hey, here's what's going on. Here's what we need to happen. And what you bring is your voice, your story, your experience. So I think, we have volunteers who are, in their teens to, past retirement, of all colors, sizes, and shapes, and everyone's skill set is welcome. You don't have to be an expert at anything. Come, do what you love. That's what we need.
Awesome. And once again, for more information, you can go to the website. We've got it up on the screen for you. And I just want to thank you once again for what you are doing for our city, for our community, for our planet. And thank you for joining us to talk about it on Good Deeds.
Thank you so much. And I hope to see at least some of you show up at our event at the Colonial Theater this Saturday, starting at 6 p.m.